Hello all, Jamie Rodgers here from Jamie Rodgers Crafts, and today I thought we'd have a little look at how you can take your ordinary stencils and emboss them in your die cutting machines. This is a technique that's been around for a very long time, but often when I'm asked about how I've created the embossed effects just using stencils. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring in our die cutting plates. So for my machine I'm using a Kit & Caboodle Pro Cut. So with this machine, I'm going to use these three plates. It's the 3mm, the 5mm, and the rubber mat, or tan mat, as you may know them. Now, each machine has its own set of plates, obviously, and each one will have its own sandwich. So you may need to refer to your instruction booklet for the machine you're working with, and you may need to buy a rubber, tan or foam mat depending on the brand of machine you're working with. As you can see, these are really sort of great materialized plates or platforms or pieces that we use within the machines to create different effects. Now normally you'd use these to emboss your dies, but you can also use them to emboss your stencils. So I'm going to take my stencil, I'm going to place it down onto the 3mm plate, and I'm going to bring in a piece of our Polar White Elite cardstock. This is a 300 GSM card, so again that means that we can be working with thinner cardstocks if we wanted to be, or speciality maybe like mirror, pearl card, so on and so forth. Now I'm going to place down my rubber mat on top here of the card, and then I'm going to bring in my 5mm plate. Now the reason we put the foam on top of the card is as we send this through the machine, what is going to happen is the foam is going to push down on top of the card and it's going to push it into the openings on the stencil. And that's what's going to create our embossed effect. It's that pressure that's going down from that rubber mat and pushing into those openings to create that depth. Now, of course, you could create different effects using other materials. It doesn't just have to be a stencil that we emboss. We could even take some die cuts and lay them out on our plates and emboss over the top of them. It can be lots of different things that we work with. Now, as this goes through, you might notice that your tan rubber foam mat sort of moves down slightly. Don't worry about that. And if it's going through your machine and it's sort of a bit creased up at the end here and getting a bit longer as it goes through, don't overly panic. These mats move a lot more than we're used to seeing with our magnetic shims or our other plates, basically. These ones have got that bit of movement to them. So we can now remove this, and what we can see straight away that's happened here is, like I said, that's going to go in and push down and deboss into one side of our stencil. So we're looking at the back side of this, so we've got that debossed effect. When we peel this away, we've then got our emboss effect. So emboss on the front there, deboss on the reverse. Of course, you can use it either. You could dress this up in any direction that you'd like to and work with them. Now, our stencils are a slightly thicker mylar to what most stencils are cut from a lot of other brands. They're not too thick. They can still move and be formed round items. But the reason I mention this is when we emboss with them, we do get a really prominent embossing because we've got that extra depth that we're pushing down on the card into the aperture of the stencil. That creates even more dimension. So to me, these aren't quite, but they're not far off of what a traditional embossing folder would create for us. Now, I know we've moved on a lot and we've gone to 3D embossing folders, which of course have multiple platforms and multiple heights to them and create more depth than a traditional folder. But this is opening up a whole world for you to be working with when it comes to your original stencils and being able to emboss them and create that depth that we can make to give us more use, more variation, more styling with than what you might have already been able to create or imagined you could do. So check on your instruction booklet for your machine. As I said, I was using the Kit & Caboodle Pro Cut today, so I used the 3mm, 5mm and rubber mat. But that might vary. You might want to play around with that depending on what machine you've got. As always, when we're talking about die cutting anything or embossing folders or stencils or anything else for a die cutting machine, it's always about making sure the pressure between the two rollers is at the right level for it to achieve the job that we're asking for it to do. So sometimes we need to up that with shims or lower it down slightly by removing plates, but playing around till we've got that right amount of pressure. With this machine, as I say, 3mm, 5mm rubber mat. With your machine, either refer to your instruction booklet, have a little Google and see, or of course, just experiment and see what's happening. Usually your machines will soon tell you if you're trying to put too much through them or if it goes through and it hasn't done anything, then you need to up the ante and put a little bit more in there as well. I hope today's video has helped you explore and play with your stencils and emboss them in new ways. If you have any questions, please let us know in the comments and I'll do my very best to answer them for you. Thank you very much for watching today. Bye for now.